DM dilemma time. Ray from Brandon's already read ahead on the Facebook page. He says, I have no comment. I can't even about what's going on with Wet the Bed Wendy. So what's the DM say, Allison?
It says, hey guys, this is super awkward, but I think my friend has a drinking problem. We've known each other since high school and we try to see each other at least once a year. She spent all last week with me and we had a great time. However, she wet the bed not once, but twice after we went out partying. The first time it happened, we both laughed it off, but the second time I was a little worried. She brushed it off saying it happens all the time and it's no big deal. I didn't want to make her feel bad, so I didn't push the issue, but I think she might be a functioning alcoholic. Should I get involved with this and try to help her, or am I overthinking it?
You said it yourself. She's functioning. Leave her alone. Leave her alone.
Whoa, pump the brakes.
I mean, look, Wendy says she only sees this friend like once a year. So I think that one weekend reuniting with your best friend, it is tough to make a judgment on whether or not she's going through anything that's like a real problem in her life. And I don't think she's going to appreciate hearing that you have made that judgment about her just based on this one weekend where she accidentally peed the bed twice.
Well, but that is a big deal. Like, we shouldn't be grown adults who are regularly peeing the bed, and like, it's
Speak
no
for
big
yourself.
deal. I mean, I agree that like, if it's somebody she doesn't see all the time and she's not immersed in her life, she can't necessarily confront her on this issue, because even if the friend does have a problem, her confronting her about it is only going to make the friend get defensive. But I think you can try to be a support and like say like, hey, let's hang out, but we're not going to drink while we hang out. We're just going to, let's go to the park instead. Let's go, you know.
I'd be furious if one of my friends was like, hey, want to hang out, but no drinking this time.
But I don't think that you can support a friend who's drinking if they wet the bed twice in a week while they stay at your house and then they're like, it happens all the time.
Yeah, Felicia's the type of person I'd want to be friends with. She says, buy her Depends next time she visits. I mean, that's being very helpful. And that actually goes back to a really good idea I had live on the air on this show one time, maybe a year ago. Branding Depends for
liquor
drunks.
stores.
Yeah, for liquor stores. Depends in liquor stores. I think it's a great idea. Time for some advice on the DM dilemma this morning. It's why 101 Adam and Allison Wet the Bed Wendy sees this friend from high school of hers like once a year, and the last time they got together after a weekend of partying, there were 2 episodes of bedwetting by the friend. And Wendy's concerned that maybe she's got an issue with alcohol because the friend said that it happens all the time.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, I don't think that you can outright confront her like you think she has a problem, especially if it is a situation where you're only seeing her for maybe a week, a year. But I do think that you can be like, listen, I'm not really going to support this. So whenever she comes to visit, I'm going to try to plan activities that don't revolve around alcohol. And Jennifer's like, totally agree with Allison. And ew, she is wetting your bed.
I think some people might be getting so hung up on the friend saying that she does it all the time. I think that that's something that she would have easily said to like make the situation go away, kind of laugh it off a little bit. And everybody's all the time. It's different definitions for everybody. Maybe she means this happens all the time whenever I see my friends from high school because I start acting like I did whenever I was in high school and college, and I'm not there anymore.
She's like a puppy, and every time she sees someone she hasn't seen in a long time, she's going to pee. Like,
yeah, I mean, I do that. Yeah, absolutely. 601-995-1017. What's your advice?
I feel like Shunda brings up a really interesting point. She says she needs to go to a doctor. It might not be the alcohol. She says it happens all the time. And my late brother peed, and it ended up being a medical issue.
Interesting. Izzy says alcoholism is a serious issue. This could be something that in the long term affects her health and the people she lives with. If you want to address it, it needs to be done with a group of people who also care about her. Most alcoholics are not going to immediately seek help. But I don't know that just bedwetting is a sign that there needs to be like a whole intervention. I used to watch Intervention, whatever it was on, and wetting the bed was not really something that like, oh, well, Jennifer wet the bed, so we have to have this family meeting now.
Well, yeah, and I feel like a key piece of the intervention is it can't just be the one friend that you occasionally see. Like, it has to be people that are deeply entrenched of the person's life. Elizabeth is saying that this is a problem, and the friend says it happens often. She says, I have a friend who recently started sobriety for this reason. And I was like, well, did this friend come to this conclusion on her own, or was it kind of brought to her attention from friends and family? And she said it really was a mix of both.
Really? That's interesting, because that was the other thing that I was thinking was like, it's not like it's a bedwet. It's not like she woke up in the morning and had a seizure because she hadn't had a shot of vodka yet. Like that would be, I would be a little more on the side of like, oh, this is a real medical problem.
Right.
I think bedwetting, not that big of a deal.
I don't know. I think you take Shonda's advice. I think you encourage her to see a doctor. Like, hey, I'm real worried about this. I think something might be going on with your bladder or something. And then when all those boxes are checked, then maybe you can bring up the alcohol conversation.